Welcome to Wednesday's Words of Wisdom from the farm. And as you can see, it's harvest time. It's a great time of the year, one of my favorite times ever. And as you can see, we're pumping the wheat into the wagons. It's a beautiful sight. You take those wagons to town and they give you a check. It's great. One thing I know about harvest is you can't dilly-dally, you can't procrastinate. When the going's good, you got to get going. You see, if you don't harvest when it's harvest time, the seeds can get moisture and they can sprout. Or you could get a big rainstorm with the wind and it knocks all the wheat to the ground and it gets mildew. Or you could get a hailstorm like some got a few weeks ago and it can strip the grain from the stalk. See, it's harvest time. You don't procrastinate. You got to get it done. You know, I have a neighbor, and the little guy, he hasn't even turned one yet. And just the other day, I think we have a picture that might even pop up here, but just the other day he had this little John Deere tractor and he was getting pictures on it. And in the background, I'm combining behind him. And you can see this little guy, not even a year old, and he's ready to go. It's harvest time, he's ready to go. And he's excited about it. I think that's how we should be in life. I wished I could say that I don't procrastinate and what I start, I finish. But that tree house that I started for the girls like a year ago still isn't done. Get asked about it all the time. I want to read for you a little something here. In Psalms it says, in Proverbs 10, verse 4, it says, "Lazy hands make a man poor, but diligent hands bring wealth. He who gathers crop in the summer is wise, but he who sleeps during harvest is a disgrace." When it's time to harvest, you don't put it off. When it's time to get something done, you get it done. I'll never forget, I was planting a field there a few years back, and as I'm planting the field with my John Deere tractor, I looked over and there's this little guy, he's like 4 years old, and he had his little John Deere power wheels, you know, those battery operated ones. And as I'm planting the field, he's maneuvering and doing everything possible to show me that he's ready and he can get the job done. So finally, after a few laps, I stopped and I went up and I knocked on the door, and he's still out there putting on a show. And his dad came and I said, "Hey, I see your little guy. Looks like he's pretty interested. He's putting on a pretty good show for me. I think he wants to plant. Is it okay?" And he had run up to the house and he's like this with his eyes wide open like this. And his dad says, "Okay, but he's going to ask you a million questions." Well, he asked pretty close to a million questions, but he was so excited. And as I lifted him down off that tractor, I looked at him and I said, "Listen," I said, "you keep practicing on your tractor, and in a few years, I'm going to have you farming and driving tractor and combine for me." He skipped off like he had the world by the tail. And his dad looked at me and said, "Thanks a lot. That's all I'm going to hear for the next year." I was in church the other day and I looked at one little guy, his name's Levi, and I said, "Hey Levi, you going to come and drive tractor with me?" His dad said that's all he could talk about. You know, these little guys don't shy away from work. And I think a lot of people with COVID have shied away from doing a lot and accomplishing a lot. They've accomplished a lot of TV series and whatever else, movies. But there's a lot of stuff to be done. Don't procrastinate. If you have something to do today, do it. And just a shout out to Levi, Nash, and Ben. You guys are going to be great farmers someday. And that's been Wednesday's Words of Wisdom from the farm. Take care. God bless.